Well, tonight, Donald Trump officially surrendered in his war for control of the Strait of Hormuz. Last night, we reported to you that Donald Trump said yesterday that the Strait of Hormuz would open as soon as he ended his war. In other words, Iran would open the Strait of Hormuz as soon as Donald Trump gives up. And tonight, after saying, quote, "We are going to finish the job," end quote, Donald Trump said it is up to what he called the countries of the world to open the Strait of Hormuz now that he has completely failed to do it after threatening military power that he would use to open the strait. Here's what Donald Trump actually said. The countries of the world that do receive oil through the Hormuz Strait must take care of that passage. They must cherish it. They must grab it and cherish it. They can do it easily. We will be helpful, but they should take the lead in protecting the oil that they so desperately depend on. Those are surrender words from Donald Trump on the Strait of Hormuz. Donald Trump insulted the intelligence of every one of his voters and supporters tonight, and he insulted the commitment of every member of the American military involved in Donald Trump's war by calling his war, quote, "that little journey to Iran." No president of the United States in our history has ever demeaned military service in war by calling a war a little journey. And Donald Trump blatantly lied about the reasons he launched his war. Donald Trump said that Iran was on the verge of obtaining a nuclear weapon and using it against the United States. He said, quote, "they were right at the doorstep." That is a Trump pathological lie. Iran was not close to being able to manufacture a nuclear weapon, according to intelligence officials. And the other component lie in that statement is that Iran was somehow developing a nuclear weapon at high speed. Iran has been working on the possibility of obtaining a nuclear weapon slower than any country in history that has actually obtained a nuclear weapon. The last country known to have developed a nuclear weapon was Pakistan, which did it in complete secrecy without any intelligence agency in the world knowing how close Pakistan was to developing a nuclear weapon until they did a nuclear weapons test in a mountain range. Then the world discovered it. Donald Trump spent 19 minutes saying nothing that he has not already said. There was no reason for the White House to request broadcast time for this speech tonight, and the networks now know there was no reason to give that time to him because there was literally no news, which is the entire point. News of giving the president time on networks to address the nation. He once again issued his threat to Iran that if Iran does not make a deal with him, without saying what a deal would be, he will commit war crimes. He has previously promised destroying civilian infrastructure, including electricity supply. But he also promised Americans and the people of Iran that his war in Iran would be over in the next 2 or 3 weeks. All the breathless media coverage of the possibility of what the press likes to call boots on the ground was proved to be utterly pointless tonight when Donald Trump made it very clear that all of his troop movements, which he never even mentioned tonight, have just been phony stunts with no intention of actually giving those troops a mission or an objective in his war in Iran. Donald Trump did not say a word tonight about Iran's uranium stockpile that he has previously said was an objective of his war. Donald Trump and his administration have suggested that they might send in Marines to somehow get in there in the middle of Iran and grab the uranium supply and get it out of the country and somehow pull that off and still be alive. But yesterday, Donald Trump said he no longer cares about that uranium supply anymore. And tonight, he did not say a word about it. Donald Trump has said to individual reporters that the uranium supply is buried deep underground and Iran will have trouble getting to it. And now Donald Trump isn't making even the slightest noise about him and his forces trying to get to it. Donald Trump did not repeat his claim made today on social media that the Iranian regime, quote, asked the United States of America for a ceasefire. Iran's Ministry of Foreign Affairs denied that, calling the claim false and baseless. The Wall Street Journal reports Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps said the Strait of Hormuz remains firmly under its control and dismissed what it described as performative actions by President Trump after he called on Iran to reopen the vital waterway and said he would bomb Iran back to the Stone Age until it did so. Donald Trump has withdrawn that particular threat to bomb them back to the Stone Age, but he issued another threat tonight to bomb them back to the Stone Age if they don't agree to a deal. They didn't do anything in response to his last threat to bomb them back to the Stone Age, so you can imagine what they will do with Donald Trump's new threat. The head of the Iranian parliament's National Security Commission replied to Donald Trump on social media, "The Strait of Hormuz will certainly reopen, but not for you." And today, the average national price of gasoline jumped to over $4 to $4.06. In a new polling, Donald Trump has fallen to an approval rating of 35%. And so tonight, a failing president lied about why he started a war and admitted he is going to give up without solving the problem his war created, which is Iran's blocking the Strait of Hormuz. He threatened to commit war crimes against the people of Iran while also promising to quit his war in 2 or 3 weeks. This was Donald Trump's way of announcing his surrender in his own war. As Donald Trump's support among Republicans collapses, polling shows 61% of Americans think that the old man we saw speaking tonight there from the White House is becoming more erratic with age. Donald Trump's second-grade music teacher would quibble with that and tell you that Donald Trump started becoming more erratic with age when he reached the age of 7 years old. Donald Trump proudly tells this story in his first book that was ghostwritten for him. Quote, "Even in elementary school, I was a very assertive, aggressive kid. In the second grade, I actually gave a teacher a black eye. I punched my music teacher because I didn't think he knew anything about music, and I almost got expelled. Almost, but of course, his rich father got him out of trouble, if anything in that story actually ever happened." Among the millions of Trump supporters tonight who believe Donald Trump is getting more erratic with age is deranged right-wing hate monger Alex Jones, who knows what it feels like to be erratic.
When your ankles swell up 3 times the size they were before, that means heart failure. And he does look sick. And he does babble and, sound like the brain's not doing too hot. And so we just cut bait on Trump. We need to be sad about Trump. This is not funny. This is not good. But he's gone. And that's it. And all the people rallied around him, you can see Hegseth's freaked out. You can see the press secretary's freaked out. They're being loyal. They think it's the lesser of 2 evils. And okay, but I just, Trump needs intervention. He needs to take some time off. Trump is in free fall, and that means we're in free fall in the midterms.
When you've lost Alex Jones, when Donald Trump loses the lunatic fringe like that, Donald Trump is on the way to losing everything. Much more reasonable Republicans than Alex Jones have already abandoned Donald Trump because of his war. And now the president in freefall is completely surrendering in the battle for the Strait of Hormuz He is promising America and Iran that he will end his war in 2 or 3 weeks. He will leave the oppressive dictatorial Iranian regime in place, the same regime that was in control of Iran before Donald Trump's war. He will leave all of Iran's possible nuclear fuel in Iran. And the only thing he will have to show the American people at the end of his war is a higher price of gas and diesel fuel, which of course means higher prices for everything, and a clogged supply chain around the world. The president, who went to war for no reason, had a lot of explaining to do tonight, but tonight he failed at explaining his war as badly as he has failed at waging his war.